video is going to be really, really controversial, and I'm sure it could start flame wars. So if you do start a flame war on this video, I will make sure to delete your account. Because I'm trying to be objective here. And it's not about, and this is not about seeking revenge and revenge. Like I made in my previous Nebraska video, the justice system should be about equality and fairness, not about revenge. So this is about what professionals think autistic people can do versus what autistics themselves can actually do. Now, the discrepancy between what the professionals think versus what autistic people can actually do is as big as the Grand Canyon. First of all, let me give you a few examples. Jacob Barnett was diagnosed with autism when he was 2 years old. Right? Moderate to severe autism. Yet, he was abused by the special education system. Yet, he managed to teach himself 4 languages, English, Spanish, and 3 languages, English, Spanish, and Japanese. And of course, I think he studied himself Chinese as well. He was able to get a master's degree in physics from Perimeter Institute of Physics, which is apparently one of the best schools in physics. Now, I haven't made a single video on the subject of physics because, well, it's not this. I know nothing about that subject. I won't lie. And of course, there's another one called Temple Grandin, who was a doctorate in animal science from Colorado State University. And the professionals told him to be institutionalized back in 1951. Of course, you'd argue that's 1951, and knowledgeable autism has thankfully advanced since then, but still. Okay? And Gary Newman, who is the electronic, who's one of the greatest electronic music bands of all time, The Vines. You probably heard of them in the Cars, the song The Cars, which is in Test Drive, which is a car racing video game. Or Satoshi Takashi, who is the Pokemon creator, which is one of the most successful cartoons of all time. And I could go on and on. John Elder Robinson, who is one of the most successful car repair mechanics of all time. And indeed, his knowledge of mechanics is very well advanced. And that's another subject. Autistics have a very narrow special interest, which they're exceptional. In my case, I would say I have multiple interests. Human rights, politics, international human rights, humanitarian criminal for Jew law, languages, and geography. And the fact is, the professionals never saw this. When I was studying Classe Zoo and Afrikaans simultaneously, by the way, the professionals thought I was crazy. Deborah Rouse and Don Ritz, West Windsor Plains, North Plains, New Jersey, in the United States of America. They thought I was delusional. I was studying these languages so I can work the legal political sides of AIDS in South Africa, with the South African Constitutional Court, with Parliament, with Human Rights Commission, and so on. I'm not going to go into the detail because there's a video in that language on the subject. Another thing is, I learned the 6 official languages of the United Nations: Arabic, Chinese, English, French, and Spanish. Well, I had to learn Russian because it's my language of my family. And Arabic I had to learn because it was the language of Darfur. It was the language of the African Union, one of the languages of the African Union, and one of the languages of the United Nations. I had to know this language because it's very crucial to know this language from a professional development. Yet these professionals didn't think I could learn such a quote-unquote difficult language. Now, Arabic is not as difficult as the State Department makes it out to be. It's different. It's very different from a European language. But the logic and grammar is very logical. But very different from a European language. And that's another thing. If people think if something is different, it's difficult, apparently. Or if you're different, you're inferior. And then then they wonder why so many conflicts in this world starts. Between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland, Catholics and Protestants there, between Israel and Palestine, between North and South Korea, all the ethnic conflicts in Burma, apartheid, the Muslim Christian conflict in Central African Republic, the Muslim Christian conflict in Nigeria, the blacks versus white in Mauritania, the Christians and Muslims in Sudan, and on it goes. Communism versus capitalism, us versus them. You know why? Because one of the great weaknesses of the neurotypical brain is mob mentality. All you need is one confident, charismatic leader who will stand in front of the speech and give a wild and crazy speech on crazy, crazy subjects. And it's insane. And of course, we are the best and everyone else is wrong. It's just ridiculous. Every leader sounds right. To quote from Anti-Flag, which is one of the best bands I think in time. Because I was watching a meme on Facebook, right? On one side of the river, our glorious reader, our glorious idea, our glorious victory, our glorious civilization. And the other side of the river, their despot, their wicked leader, their horrible civilization, and so on and so forth. And this is ridiculous. And unfortunately, neurotypical behavior hasn't advanced since those days. I'm not being a mentalist, I'm stating the truth. That's not to say the autistic brain doesn't have its weaknesses either. Black and white and rigid thinking and inflexible interpretation of routines. But, here's the major but. The neurotypical brain cannot accept that there are differences in others. Racially, sexually, linguistically, politically, mentally. Everyone has to be the mob, the mob motivated by a common charismatic leader. And which is just absurd, And if you're not part of the mob, you're deviant, and you need to be fixed. This is why I hate psychiatrists, and that's why I made the video, Neurological Apartheid. In Neurological Apartheid, the argument goes that there's one normal brain, and all the other brains are somehow not normal. Therefore, the job of psychiatrists, social workers, counselors, and psychiatrists is to fix them by any old means possible. Therapists, and I really resent it. I resent being fixed. I love myself the way I am. I learned the hard way to learn to love myself. And now, of course, it's ridiculous. And another thing, these professionals, I'm smarter than they are. Deborah Lawrence in my case, in Western Pennsylvania, New Jersey, with the United States of America. I learned 12 languages: Arabic, Chinese, English, French, Russian, Spanish, Portuguese, Afrikaans, also Szechuan and Dutch. Okay? They can barely speak English. And my English is much better than theirs, as I've written books in the language. Alright? I understand international rights, humanitarian criminal Jewish. They don't. I won the state of New Jersey National Geographic in 2004. And the winning question was, which landlocked African country shares the wealth of the copper belt with the Democratic Congo? Zambia does. Okay? And these professionals can't find Zambia on a map. I know this because in that school there was a class called International Business and Cultures. And then we had a blank Africa map. And no one, except myself, could label all the countries correctly. Which just also shows the failures of the educational system. The point is, it's time that these professionals get off their high horses and that mentality that autistics can't do anything for themselves. Because the reason they do that is because it perpetuates their careers. Not because they're helping autistics. I never got any help from the professionals, okay? Everything I achieved, from going from special school to mainstream school, was my achievement. Winning the state of New Jersey National Cross Week, that's my achievement. Writing May 7 about history of 100 years of future African history, my achievement. Learning the 6 official languages, mostly my achievement. I did take classes in Arabic and Spanish, but I learned at a much higher level than the classes ever taught me. And other languages, such as Chinese, the other languages I've studied them on my own. And if you watch my videos, you will see that I can understand them on a very high level. If I can explain complicated political and human rights issues in these languages, then clearly I know the languages. The point is, these professionals are the ones who are idiotic, not me. These professionals who claim to speak for me. And they don't. I can speak for myself. Okay? Thank you.